Hey everybody, this is Toast Toasted reviewing another webcomic. This is referred to as Mission Nasaru. Nasaru, I believe, is a Japanese term for to do. I do not know if this has any cross-reference, but that's the phrasing that I'm familiar with. Mission Nasaru is something that I ran across through some random browsing on Instagram. I ran into some bizarre looking animations that were covered in pink goo and strange naked folks. This is referred to as a science fiction story that has naturist values, which means that it is primarily a nudist comic. This does not mean that it is filled with overt sexuality. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It treats lack of clothing as clothing, and shows the symbiotic relationship between these people and this strange pink goo that they refer to as the Nasaru. I find it a little bit annoying that it refers to itself as naturist, meaning that it's trying to grab your attention right from the get-go, both through warning towards the readers as to what the content looks like, but primarily it appears that it's just a gimme, it's a grab trying to get you to pay attention to it rather than saying, check out this awesome comic. There's some additional things that kind of drove me crazy, but don't actually negatively reflect against the comic itself, and that's the actual cycle that the comics are being shown through. You notice that if you scroll backwards and rewind 10 or 15 seconds, that the actual comic starts with year 0 and actually goes to year 500, or solar cycle 500 as it's referenced. The comic starts off with people waking up inside the goo. They don't know what is going on. They're not sure what's happening. They recognize themselves as human, but they don't actually know how or why they're there. This initial awakening is actually pretty short-lived. It's only between 5 and 8 panels total, telling the story of this human element somewhere in the solar system or another solar system that awakens with the Nasaru and begins anew. The core storyline actually starts within Chapter 2. Chapter 2 is when, approximately 500 solar cycles later, they identify a strange device that is embedded inside of rock. And when they pull it out of the rock, it is a cryogenic cell from an escape pod from some form of spaceship, and it contains a human being. The man inside the cryogenic capsule is Jack. Jack is a refugee, effectively. His scientific spaceship was mapping something with a black hole when all hands had to depart and he was shot into space. There's a lot of information that has yet to come forward about Jack and his history, so it'll be interesting to see how this works itself out. Some things to know about this comic. Number one is that, yes, the modeling itself is a little bit strange. In order to focus on plotline, Darren, the creator of this comic, does use a 3D modeling project on his computer to actually set up all the various different universal elements and people. So sometimes early on in the comic, the characters look a little bit unhinged. They're not quite as fleshed out or nice to look at as they are starting with just Chapter 2 like we see here. But as the story progresses, the modeling does shake itself out, and it becomes very fluid and easy to look at as he shakes through and corrects some of his early oversights or learns the proper ropes to make it feel more realistic. Overall, the artistry across the entire comic has a very Logan's Run kind of feel. It's pleasant to look at. It's not difficult to read. And it's really just the Patreon problem that people have to watch out for. So when I say the Patreon problem, what am I actually talking about? What I'm talking about is the funding for this project. Darren actually has the majority of the work being pre-published into his Patreon account, which is all well and good. It helps people get access to earlier information, etc. But he allows his users to vote on what is the next piece of work that's up for review and work, and it's leaving large gaps in the storyline, which may frustrate a lot of users or readers. Rather than completing any specific chapter or storyline, he spends a lot of his effort jumping ahead to the things that his fans are voting for. So, starting with the year zero, you get most of the story. You get a significant portion of the first part of Jack's story brought to your attention and unfolding out in front of you. And then all of a sudden it jumps ahead a couple years, and then another couple years, and then a few more years after that. And you're left wondering what actually you're going to be reading about up next. It's difficult to get invested in something that has no cohesive timeline that you can expect to look forward to. Don't let the negatives outweigh the positives on this comic. It's actually a pretty stellar series. It just has some difficulties with its presentation and the way that it is going to carry forward. It's well worth the time. Feel free to like this video and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Have a nice day.